Hey YouTube, Lawler here as always, and we're back with another top 10 power ranking international edition. Again, every 2 weeks we said we're going to start doing this and making it a regular, and we're back with another one. If you guys aren't familiar with how I have done this in the past, we can take a look after everybody plays their open matches. So we've gotten through open 1, open 2, and we've shifted things up and down. We now have our results and what we're going to try to do for open 3, and I can't tell you how complicated and how difficult this has been due to Geekay and Jeng, if you know you know, how difficult it has been trying to rank these teams, because there has been upsets, there has been surprises, there has been teams with literally less than 2% and less than 4% chances of winning and making the major doing exactly that. So with that said, we're going to try to do our best to go through these and try to provide a brief explanation of how these came to be. First thing, as honorable mention, you guys should be familiar with this by now. We've got Team Secret. I know a lot of people continue to be like, well, how can you have Team Secret and not some of these other teams that you've had in the past? And primarily with Team Secret is just, I look at their results, and every single time they lose, it's to the team that has yet to lose, which is FURIA. In every single conversation, and sure, strength of schedule wise isn't as competitive. You can make the same exact argument for Twisted Minds. You've got FURIA and Team Secret as the 2-horse race. You've got Twisted Minds and Falcons as the 2-horse race. But what can be said is FURIA has yet to lose. They have been that dominant, and Team Secret still puts up a fight, brings them to Game 7 almost every single time. So I think Team Secret has a lot of potential, a lot of talent, and on LAN, I would not be surprised if they play some upsets, find themselves in like a round 5 situation, and push through into the playoffs. I would not be shocked by that at all. So Team Secret's my honorable mention. Up next, we've got a team that I think a lot of people are excited to see on LAN, and it's the one and only Geekay, who is new to the list. There is something to be said about a team that, and as you guys know, I heavily weight and desire consistency. And Geekay has been a top 8, top 6 consistent. But when they peak, which is exactly what we saw at Worlds when they got their kind of limp-in situation and the ability to make that lower bracket run, I mean, they look good. And they look really good. Like, to the point where they out-aggressed K-Corp in the finals, most recently. I need to see it again before I really bump them up. But GK, man, GK looks really dang good when they're on. Peaking Archie is one of the most terrifying things that I've ever been on the receiving end of. Like, I do not want to be rooting against that man when he is peaking. So yeah, GK, I need a little bit of consistency, but I have them at 10, as low as they can technically go outside of honorable mentions, because I do weigh EU heavier than South America when it comes to depth and the teams that they're playing against. Sure, they had to play Redemption and a couple other teams to make it to that point, but at the end of the day, they won. So I'm going to give it to GK on that one. I think they have a lot of potential. Now, on top of that, and a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, Lawler, what the heck, is NIP, who is dropping a lot, and hopefully that makes up for it. They are dropping 4 spots from 5 down to 9. NIP is still a damn good team, in my opinion. I think NIP is still super competitive, and while they have looked a little bit more flat than recent, their losses in Open 3 since the last time we weighted them, their losses were to K-Corp, Vitality, and Dignitas. The 3 teams in the power rankings above them. And like, I want to make it perfectly clear, if NIP was on the other side of the bracket and they were playing against Redemption and they were playing against those teams, I got a pretty good feeling they would have went to the major instead of GK. If GK had to play Vitality and so on and so forth, maybe they don't get those wins. But again, we're not here to argue that, because objectively, GK did make it. So credit to GK. My objective power rankings, which I do have, if you guys haven't seen these before, is based on purely on placement. It's still very, very close. GK after the major may bump up and make it even closer. Ultimately, I just want to see these two compete against each other. That way we can at least get a head-to-head result, but we haven't had that yet. So that is what I do have with Ninjas and Pyjamas. I still think they're a damn good team. I still think they're losing, but the teams they're losing to are very, very strong. So very excited to see how that plays out. I know a lot of people are going to be absolutely crazy. Don't let the recency... Like, I need to see GK do it again. And on LAN, I think they're going to be able to be super competitive. I would not be surprised if GK makes top 8. At all. At number 8, a team that I have a hard time giving too much credit to, just because I need to see more of it. What color is this? Oh, it's that one. Okay. Is Twisted Minds. Twisted Minds to me is a good team. I don't think there's any change in them just because nothing's really deferring. Like Falcons is battling with them in the grand finals. This time Falcons, although they looked a little bit off, they still found a way to win. Twisted Minds still find a way to make it to the grand final. Like, I'm excited to watch Twisted Minds kind of unfold on LAN. I think this team has potential, but I have a hard time of really weighing them heavier just because it is, hey, you're playing Falcons. Falcons is good, but like, are you really the real deal? I don't know. I don't know what Twisted Minds is going to look like against international competition. I really don't, because I've seen those players have really high profile performances, but I've also seen them play kind of iffy at times. Nalpo is the question mark. I don't know what Nalpo is going to look like on LAN. I'm excited to find out just because he is a very talented player. Will the nerves and stuff plague him, or are we going to get like a TRK burst into the scene? Hey, he's that guy type of performance. We'll see. We will see. But I can't move Twisted Minds up or down for that reason. Up next, you're going to see a lot of Europeans on this list. Is Dignitas. Dignitas is actually moving up 2 spots. I know that's pretty crazy for a lot of people, but the reason why I have Dignitas moving up is I do think they are a solid team. And while, yes, they conceded on some matches, I personally think they should have won. Dignitas as a team has solidified to me that they can go through some adversity. They can do some things. And when their offense is clicking, they look incredible. My biggest concerns with Dignitas have been, what is the Jack Joria's combination going to look like? And honestly, it's been good. It's been really solid. It's been Stizzy, the rookie, which is, he's not a rookie. It's actually his second year. Stizzy had a really one-off performance, and since then has provided some stability. I think this team only gets better on LAN. I think when they're able to settle in and they're not as...
Dignitas and Jank.
Thanks for that, Tuba. Dignitas is Dignitas, and Jank or Jang is how my text-to-speech says it. It's ridiculous. But Dignitas to me is a team I think on LAN is going to be able to get away with a little bit less mechanical requirement. My hope though is that they still provide the aggression that they've been able to. When they're up on offense, they look pretty good. But yeah, Dignitas to me, I have them moving up just because I do think performance-wise, they're still showing top 4, top 6 performances consistently with no really deterrent. And it's tough for me to move Twisted Minds up, but NIP is definitely faltering. So benefits of going to the major. So that's what I'm going to do there. At 6 and moving up ever so slightly is Ultimates. They're moving up 1 spot, and primarily, I think it's pretty easy to say, they looked good this past weekend. It's probably the best they've ever looked. But are they going to be able to recreate that same level of performance in 3-4 weeks? I don't know. I think Ultimates has potential. I think on paper, you look at Ultimates and go, hey, man, you guys play unselfish. You provide your roles. You do your thing, which, like, this is the best I think Chronic's ever looked. I think Chronic is looking really, really good on the team. First Killer has those moments once a year where he looks like he's the best player on the field and is hitting flip resets through demo smoke that he can't see. I think there is times for Ultimates to be excited, and I'm hoping they bring this same level. This is the first time, and I think I tweeted out, I'm like, it looks like they can be a real contender for the first time this year. But I need it over time. I can't just have it be one event. I think they get the noteworthy result. I do think they look really good. I think they can be a serious number 2 in NA and give us a competitive team. But I need to see it. I need to see it. Number 5, and one that I think gets not enough recognition, is FURIA. They're moving up 1 spot. FURIA is doing exactly what is asked of them, and they can't do anything better. They're the only team that we care about that has gone 3-0 in opens. They have won every single open. K-Corp didn't do it. NRG didn't do it. Twisted Minds didn't do it. Falcons didn't do it. Nobody knows CE did it with Wildcard. They're the only one in the top 4 regions that has gone perfect. That needs to be commended. That needs to be... They are controlling what they can. Can they do it on LAN? Can we see them make a top 4? It's going to be tough because they're going to have to be one of these teams ahead of them. And can I give them the nod yet? I don't know. That's why I have them at 5. I do have them moving up. I am giving them the credit they deserve, but can they do it international competition against the best in the world? We'll have to see. We will have to see. And number 4, actually coming down a spot, is Vitality. I think with Vitality, there's some concerns. They have moments of brilliance, and they look like that team. And with the roster that they have, I think they have the most talented roster outside of K-Corp. Like, they have so much talent. They have world championships, MVPs, many people who consider the GOAT in the game at the current state of the age with Monkey Moon. Like, they are a very, very good team. They've got a person who, in my opinion, is the best first touch in Rocket League with Zen. Like, Vitality's damn good. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. But my opinion on it, and what I have stated numerous times, is I think Vitality on LAN is better than Vitality online. To me, they play a minimal mistake, fundamental game of Rocket League. And online, when there's a little bit less stress in a comfortable environment, you can be a bit more aggressive. You can go for stuff that's a little bit more risky. But on LAN, that stuff doesn't happen as much. So for me, I think Vitality on LAN is better. I think they will be in the dance. I think they will be making top 4. And when it gets to a top 4 or top 6, in my opinion, that's a coin flip on international water. Like, it is an international competition. Truly, who is playing the best on the day? How are you feeling? How did you prepare? Did you eat your Wheaties waking up? And I think Vitality on LAN is going to be one of those teams. I am terrified of what this team could look like on LAN. And I hope I'm proven right. And if I'm proven wrong, so be it. I'm okay with taking the loss on it. But I think Vitality on LAN is going to be better than they look online, personally. History kind of has a way of repeating itself. Realistically, Vitality is going to crash and burn at this LAN. Then they're going to make a roster change. And then they're going to win the world championship with Monkey Moon. Probably what's going to happen. That's what the script says. Either way, Vitality dropping down a spot, but only because it's tough for me to weigh some of these other ones. At number 3, a team that I have not been impressed by lately. Not making the grand final. Their streak of 12 events, 12 grand finals in a row did not happen. They stop at 11. It is 11 grand final appearances across opens as well as majors, as well as the world championship for NRG has concluded. And nobody thought it was going to happen to the teams that they lost to. Pretty wild stuff. Either way, NRG concluded with losing to the Ultimates, who looked great. But with that in mind, it is very tough to stay at the top of a region. I think everybody can accept that. But NRG to me has looked... They haven't looked as polished. Still good. Still competitive. Usually find a way to win. Right? But they got swept. And usually they put up a fight no matter what. I think NRG this season, I don't know if them having slow starts and kind of being a little bit non-focused or having a little bit more errors in their ways is going to be as forgiving. I think this season there's some pretty big names and players due to international transfers. Like, you will be punished heavier than you've ever been punished. And I think with that in mind, NRG's biggest enemy is themselves. They are, on offense, when they play, a team that just whittles you down. They will punish you over and over and over again to a point where you're just like, dude, I just can't save it. I got nothing in the... What do you want me to do? It's been 10 minutes of them just punishing our net. They're very methodical, very surgical, as James Bott says, in their play. If they don't beat themselves, they are going to be a team that's part of the conversation. They play the most EU-type Rocket League out of any North American team. That's why they're top 3 in the world, in my opinion. But I do agree with Mr. Minecraft. They do look a little lazy. They don't look as threatening as they normally do. So I have them dropping down a little bit, faltering. Again, the expectations to be a top 2 in the world are very high, and I don't think NRG has lived up to them recently. That doesn't mean that they're not going to do what they always do and find a way to make the grand finals. We'll see how it goes. Up next, you guys should be able to guess this one. It is Falcons.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
With Falcons, I think I have a hard time in personal... I personally have a really hard time weighting these 3. And I'll be completely honest with you guys. I went over these a few times of like who goes where, what happens. And I think for Falcons to still have some problems, like I think the thing I commend Falcons about is while they didn't look as good, right? I don't think Falcons looked as good this past weekend. They still did what Energy didn't, which is found ways to win. And I think that's why I give them the nod. Falcons to me is one of the more stable and one of the more consistent teams. I think they bring a certain level of play. Like when we talk about ceiling versus floor, their floor is very, very high. Rotationally and everything else, they play a good fundamental game of Rocket League. But when they peak, they don't make mistakes. They don't have missed touches. They don't put the ball in awkward. They don't mess up. This is a weekend where I think they actually messed up a lot. I think they looked pretty problematic, but they still won. And I think that's probably why. They are still, at the end of the day, doing what matters most, which is winning. And that's why I have them moving up. While Vitality's dropping out a little bit early, Energy's faulting in quarters to their rivals. Like, by all means, I do think, again, when you talk about ultimates and Twisted Minds and the head-to-head and versus each other in their different regions, sure, Falcons isn't playing as much competition versus an Energy who's got to go through some of these top teams in NA. But same thing could be said about Vitality, and that's why I have a tough time of bumping these around. But the objective answer is they won. They won. They won the entire event. It's the same reason why I give the credit to FURIA. They won. And that, to me, carries weight over everything. So that is why I have them there. And the only exception is the team that is at the top. That's number one, and it's K Corp. Because although they didn't win, they were at least in the grand final. That's the difference between these teams. NRG, grand final, semifinal. Vitality, back and forth around. Falcons, grand final every time, winning the last one. K Corp, grand final and winning every time, except for a second place in the last one. It's tough for me to knock them off the pedestal. It's one event. And sure, GK looked great in that grand final. K Corp, I was like, where are you at? But they still made it to the grand final. I think at the end of the day, it's very, very tough to do these. I'm not going to lie to anybody that's watching. I have a very tough time. I think I could, if I did this again tomorrow, my list is going to be different. It is going to be very, very difficult, I think, to predict these. I'm excited to see how these play out. Where a wild card and Chiefs at, I mean, you're going to put them in the 2-2 round. That's just how it works. They're going to be somewhere in this area, and hopefully they can win that coin flip. Historically, they haven't. So we'll see. But yeah, I think this is a very difficult list to make. There's been a lot of other people that have also made this, but yeah, I have a tough time with this one. I know the one that I'm gonna get the most flack for is probably NIP, but I just can't have NIP drop in 7 rankings because they lost to Vitality, Dignitas, and K Corp. I just can't do it. So now to hope and help visualize this, take a look at it as if it was a bracket. If you look at it visually, where am I putting teams? How would they place? I think it helps kind of explain where I feel things are going. I think this kind of helps put in perspective of like how I rank my teams, where I'm putting them. And I think when you look at it this way, it kind of gives you the idea of like, by all means, yes, both these teams are super competitive. Do I think they can beat each other? 100%. The team in front of them winning historically, probably. But yeah, it's not easy. It is definitely not easy based on where I have people placed or where they're going or who's placed where. I think you can shift them up and down a little bit, but yeah. Is that 2-1 in the grand finals a mistake? No, it's number 1 rank, number 2 rank. First place versus second place. Just like this is 4 versus 3. This is 6 versus 5. And then I have 5, 6, 7, and 8 in here. That's their seed. That's what I have them based upon this list. So, yeah. I'm not saying that's who would win. I'm not saying that's what it's going on. But if I'm doing power rankings, that is kind of the hierarchy as if you were to put these into a bracket, into the finals of who is going where. And then the teams that are 9 to 12 are the ones going in the 2-2 round in Swiss. So, again, if they do it again, I would not be surprised. If GK does it again and bumps through, obviously NIP, I think if they're in the conversation, could definitely start taking maps and matches off of this. But that is pure speculation, and that is what I have for my power rankings. I am curious to hear what you guys have in your power rankings, though. Let me know what you guys think. Is there certain teams that you think are criminally underrated, criminally overrated? I'm always interested to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you enjoy the content, like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, hit me up. Any comments on social medias as well. Next video, we'll be going over round 1. We're going to be talking about the seedings, how Buchholz works, why teams are playing who, and whether we like it or not. If you guys want to don't miss out on that, hit subscribe. You guys know what to do. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.